"So, this is my life now," Chloe said sadly. The morning after Tessa's birthday party, the Brown household was very quiet. Chloe sat by the window, staring blankly outside. Her heart still hurt from everything that had happened, but deep down, she knew there was nothing she could do. How was she supposed to meet Michael and tell him the truth? If she did, would it be because she wanted to be with Michael, her stepsister's husband? Or just to stop the whole lie? Chloe sat there, her heart sinking as she considered her options. Chloe was working with Mrs. Amanda in her late father's company. If she wanted to speak about the wedding night, she needed money and her own place to live. The pay was low and she has been working hoping someday she could get more. What if Michael doesn't believe her? Whatever it is she needs to do, she needs her independence, and that is far-fetched as long as Mrs. Amanda is in the picture. Meanwhile, Tessa walked through the halls with a false confidence, her smile flawless but brittle. She had everything she wanted: Michael's love, the family fortune, and her mother's approval. Yet, every time she looked in the mirror, the reflection staring back at her reminded her of the cost. One wrong move, one slip, and everything could come crashing down. She danced with Tony at last night's party, and now, as she stared at her phone, he was inviting her over to his house. She knew that going there would mean fully welcoming infidelity into her marriage of barely 3 months. Yet she decided to play her cards carefully. She would visit him, but she knew she needed to take things slowly. Michael, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface, tried to shake the uneasy feeling from his mind. He kept replaying Chloe's tearful moment in the garden, the voice he couldn't quite place. Questions gnawed at him, but he pushed them aside, telling himself it was just his imagination. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. A few days later, Michael was in a conference room with investors when his phone beeped. It was a message from a hidden number. He couldn't help but look at his phone as the pictures appeared. The image showed Tessa and Tony dancing, looking at each other affectionately. He couldn't believe his eyes. How could his naive, virgin wife be like this? How was she shamelessly sharing such a moment with another man? The shock hit him hard. Questions flooded his mind. Was everything he believed a lie? Was the perfect image of Tessa just a mask? Michael's heart pounded as he tried to focus on the meeting, but the images burned in his mind. The betrayal felt like a knife twisting deeper inside. He knew he had to find out the truth, but how? And when? As Michael was still looking through the pictures, another message arrived from the same hidden number. It contained an address: 72 St. Maria Street, Lagos. Go and see for yourself. Michael's mind raced. Who was sending these messages? Why now? Was someone trying to warn him or trap him? He didn't understand. But one thing was clear. He was a man of power, and if something was really going on, he would find out the truth in his own way. He refused to let a stranger interfere in his new home or his marriage. Whatever this was about, he would get to the root of it himself. Still, he couldn't shake the shock of how exposed Tessa was. This was the exact opposite of the woman he thought. He married the pure, innocent woman her mother had described so often. Michael slid his phone into his pocket, his jaw tight. He knew he had to investigate his wife, the woman he had planned to build a future with. Tessa arrived at Tony's house just as the sun was setting. The warm glow of the evening made the small garden look peaceful, but inside, her heart was racing. She told herself to stay calm and in control. Tony greeted her with a smile, opening the door wide. "I'm glad you came," he said softly. They sat in the living room, the air thick with tension and unspoken feelings. Tessa's mind was full of doubt and excitement all at once. She knew what she was doing was dangerous, but the attention from Tony made her feel alive in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. Tony reached for her hand. "You don't have to hide from me," he whispered. "I've always cared about you." Tessa looked down, unsure. Part of her wanted to pull away, but another part longed for the comfort he offered. she stayed longer than she planned, caught between guilt and desire. The night stretched on, and Tessa knew she was risking everything: her marriage, her reputation, and her family. Yet, she couldn't stop herself. They sat close on the worn sofa, the silence stretching between them until Tony finally spoke. "Tessa, I know you're married now. I know about Michael." Tessa nodded, biting her lip. "I do too, Tony. But I'm tired. I'm tired of pretending, of playing a part that isn't really me." Tony's hand found hers, warm and reassuring. "You don't have to pretend with me. You can be yourself." Her eyes flickered with a mix of longing and guilt. "But it's dangerous. If anyone finds out..." Tony shrugged, a sly smile touching his lips. "We have to take risks if we want what we deserve, Michael. He's not the man you thought he was, and neither is your mother. They think they are smart, but we can overtake them." Tessa looked away, the memories of the forced wedding night, mother's cold control weighing heavily on her. "I never wanted any of this, but now I'm trapped." Tony leaned in closer. "Then let's make a plan. We can take everything away from him: his money, his power. You'll be free." Her breath hitched. The thought both terrified and excited her. "But how? How do we do that?" Tony's eyes gleamed with confidence. "We play the game, Tessa. We pretend. We keep up the act for now. Gain his trust. Make him believe you're the perfect wife. Then, when the time is right, we strike." Tessa swallowed hard, the weight of his words sinking in. She had never imagined herself as someone who could be like this, but the idea sparked something deep inside her, a hunger for control, for freedom from her own mother, yet she wanted her husband's wealth as her. The evening grew darker, the quiet between them charged with tension. And then, almost without thinking, they crossed a line they could never uncross. It was reckless, forbidden, and Tony knew she was married. But in that moment, all doubts faded away. Their bodies moved together with a desperate hunger, a silent agreement that this night would change everything. Afterwards, still in the sheets, Tessa looked at Tony, her eyes wide with shock and fear. "What have we done?" Tony smiled, but it was a cold, calculating smile. "What we had to. Now we're in this together. We have a game to play." Tessa nodded slowly, the reality settling over her. "Michael? He's not going to know what hit him. We'll take everything from him: his money, his company, his life if we have to, and then you'll be free." Tessa's heart pounded, but beneath the fear was a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could escape the life her mother had planned for her. But deep down, she knew the game would be dangerous. Trust was fragile, and one wrong move could ruin them both. Yet, neither of them cared anymore. They were ready to play and win. Michael came home early that evening, earlier than usual. His mind was still tangled in the images from the hidden message, his thoughts constantly replaying the picture of Tessa with Tony. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, that his wife, his perfect virgin wife, was hiding something from him. As he stepped into their home, the silence seemed heavier than usual. The lights were dimmed, and the quiet of the house felt suffocating. He dropped his briefcase on the table, trying to focus, but his mind kept racing. He hadn't expected to come home to such stillness, but there was something about the emptiness that made his unease grow. Just as the night wore on, he heard the front door open. Tessa walked in, her presence filling the hallway. She wasn't expecting him to be home at this hour, and the shock on her face was unmistakable. Michael didn't look up from where he stood near the kitchen counter, his back turned to her. "Where are you coming from?" he asked, his voice tight, as if testing the waters. Tessa froze for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest. The lie she'd rehearsed felt like a weight she had to carry now. "I went over to my mom's house," she said, forcing a calmness into her voice. Michael didn't turn to face her, but there was something in the air, an unspoken tension. He hadn't seen her come back from her mother's house earlier. The lie didn't sit right, and his gut instinct told him something wasn't adding up. Without turning around, he spoke again, his voice barely a whisper but sharp with suspicion. "It's late, Tessa. Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Tessa's breath caught. The question was simple, but it cut deep, and for a moment, she could almost feel Michael's suspicion closing in around her like a vice. She forced a smile, stepping into the room slowly to close the distance between them. "Oh, you know how it is," she said, keeping her tone light, too light. "Mum's house. It's always a bit of a project. I lost track of time." Michael didn't respond right away, but his silence spoke volumes. He slowly placed the glass he was holding on the counter, then turned to face her, his eyes narrowed in quiet observation. He was studying her, trying to make sense of the emotions that flickered across her face, something he didn't recognize. "I've been thinking," Michael said slowly, his voice carrying an edge now, "about the photos, the ones I saw." Tessa's heart skipped. She tried to keep her expression neutral, but she could feel the heat rising in her chest, her hands trembling slightly. "What photos?" she asked, her voice too quick, too defensive. Michael's gaze sharpened. "The ones with you and Tony, dancing, looking close." Tessa's blood ran cold. For a split second, she thought she might faint, but she steadied herself, swallowing hard. The room seemed to close in, the walls pressing down as her heart thudded in her ears. "It's not what you think," she said, her voice faltering just slightly. "Tony, he's just a friend. We were just dancing." Michael's silence dragged on for several long seconds. He took a step toward her, his jaw clenched tightly. "Tessa," he said, his voice low but firm. "I don't know what's going on here, but I can feel it. This isn't just dancing. You can't lie to me anymore." The weight of his words hit her like a punch to the gut. Her mind raced for a response, but no words came. She was caught in the lie, caught in the web she and Tony had spun, and she knew, deep down, that Michael wouldn't believe the lies for much longer. Her heart hammered in her chest, and her throat tightened. "I'm sorry," she whispered, but it felt hollow, empty. She wasn't sorry for what she had done with Tony, but she was sorry for the mess she had created, for the life she was losing control of. Michael stared at her, his face unreadable. The tension between them thickened, and he could feel the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. The woman he thought he knew, the woman he married, wasn't the person she appeared to be. He wanted to trust her, but now everything felt tainted. Tessa took a step back, trying to hold herself together, but the cracks were showing. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "But you have to understand, Michael. There's nothing there to with a friend." Michael took another step toward her, his eyes never leaving hers. "I'm trying to understand, Tessa, but you're making it hard." The room felt cold, the silence suffocating. They stood facing each other, the weight of their secrets hanging between them. "I won't let you destroy my reputation with this marriage," Michael said, his voice sharp now, every word filled with quiet determination. "I'm going to find out what's going on, Tessa. One way or another, I will." Tessa felt a chill run through her, but she knew, deep down, that she had crossed a point of no return. Michael wasn't just a husband anymore. He was a man on a mission to uncover the truth, and he would stop at nothing. Chloe's phone buzzed, interrupting the silence of the room. She picked it up hesitantly, her heart already racing before she even looked at the screen. The message read, "Let me help you. I know what is going on." Her fingers froze over the phone's screen. The words felt like a jolt of electricity running through her veins. Who could this be? A strange sense of fear crept up her spine as her mind spun with possibilities. Was this Mrs. Amanda trying to trap her, to force her into something more sinister? Or could this actually be someone trying to help her escape? She quickly typed out a reply, her hands trembling slightly as she pressed the keys. "Who are you? And what do you know?" The message buzzed again almost immediately, the reply as chilling as it was unexpected. "I know about the wedding night. I know about the switch. I know about the injection and antidote." Chloe felt her breath catch in her throat. The words sent a shock through her body, like cold water hitting her skin in the dead of night. She stared at the screen, her heart thudding so loudly she thought it might burst from her chest. Could this really be someone who knew everything? Someone who knew the darkest secret of her life, what had been done to her on her sister's wedding night, and the cruel game Mrs. Amanda had forced her into? Chloe stood up from the chair, the phone still in her hand. Her legs felt weak as she paced the room, her mind in a whirl of confusion and fear. Could this message be a lifeline? A way out of the nightmare that had become her life? Or was it another cruel trap designed to break her? She glanced at the phone again, the screen still glowing with the unread message. Her thoughts spun wildly. If this was a trap, it could be a dangerous move to trust whoever was behind the message. But if it wasn't, if it was someone who truly wanted to help her, this could be her chance to escape from the control that Mrs. Amanda had over her. But then again, Chloe had always been taught to fear the unknown, to avoid taking risks that might lead to even greater suffering. What if trusting this stranger led to even worse consequences? What if this was just another part of Mrs. Amanda's plan? Her mind raced, and for a moment, she considered ignoring the message, shutting it all out. But the idea of continuing to live this way, the idea of being trapped in the same vicious cycle was unbearable. She couldn't let herself stay like this, could she? Tears pricked at her eyes as she thought about how far she had fallen, how everything had slipped out of her control. She had been forced into this game, playing along to survive. But somewhere deep inside, she was losing herself, losing the part of her that had once been full of hope, full of life. Afraid of what might happen if she responded, Chloe made a decision that shook her to the core. She lifted the phone and, with a trembling finger, swiped across the screen. She deleted the message. She couldn't let herself get caught up in this again. She couldn't let herself trust a stranger, no matter how desperately she wanted to believe they were offering an escape. Chloe stared at her phone, the screen now blank. She felt a deep, crushing weight settle in her chest, a feeling of defeat unlike anything she had ever known. She didn't know if she had made the right choice, but for now, it felt like the only safe one. She sat back down, her hands shaking as she placed the phone on the table, her head in her hands. What was she supposed to do now? How could she ever get out of this mess? For the first time in what felt like forever, Chloe wondered if she had any strength left to fight back at all. It had been 3 months and a week since the wedding night, the night that had torn Chloe's world apart, turning her life into something she could barely recognize. And now, as she stood in the bathroom, holding the positive pregnancy test in her trembling hands, her heart sank. She had been feeling off for weeks. Nausea, dizziness, and the deep fatigue that had settled in her bonus symptoms she couldn't shake. But it wasn't until now, when she finally realized she had missed her period, that the truth hit her like a ton of bricks. She hadn't connected the dots before, too lost in the chaos of her life to pay attention to the subtle signs. But now, standing in that bathroom, holding the small stick that confirmed it, everything became painfully clear. Chloe stared at the 2 blue lines staring back at her, her breath hitching in her chest. Tears began to well up in her eyes, blurring her vision. She dropped to her knees, her body shaking as the weight of the moment crashed down on her. How could this happen? She thought, feeling her heart break all over again. Michael's baby. The words swirled in her mind like a storm. The very thought sent waves of panic rushing through her, making it hard to breathe. The baby inside her was the result of that horrible night, the night she was forced into a lie, into a twisted game she never asked to be a part of. And now, she had no idea what to do. What was she supposed to do with this baby? This innocent life that was tied to everything she had lost? Everything that had been stolen from her? Chloe couldn't help but feel a rush of guilt, even though she knew this child hadn't done anything wrong. But the very existence of this baby felt like a cruel reminder of everything she had suffered, of the depths to which she had been pushed. She had always imagined her first pregnancy would be a moment of joyous shared experience with someone she loved. But this wasn't that. This was a nightmare she was trapped in, a nightmare that now included a baby, one that would tie her even more closely to Michael, to her stepmother's plans, and to the life she could never escape. What would Michael think when he finds out? Chloe thought. wiping away the tears that had started to fall freely down her face. He had no idea what had truly happened that night. No idea that it wasn't his wife he had shared his wedding night with. And now, the reality of the situation was staring back at her, forcing her to confront the truth she had been avoiding for so long. She thought about telling him, about confessing everything, but she knew it wasn't that simple. How could she explain what had happened? How could she tell him that she had been forced into a lie, into a role she never asked for? And what would he think of her, knowing the woman he married wasn't the woman he thought she was? She couldn't bear the thought of losing him, of destroying whatever fragile relationship they had left. But could she continue to live this lie, carrying his child and pretending everything was normal? The tears continued to fall as Chloe sat on the bathroom floor, the weight of the situation pressing down on her chest. What now? She thought again, feeling hopeless. For the first time in a long time, Chloe felt truly alone. She had been living in a house full of people, but none of them truly saw her. None of them knew the truth, and the thought of carrying this secret, this burden by herself, seemed unbearable. She had been living a lie for so long, but now, with the baby growing inside her, it felt like she was sinking deeper into it, with no way out. She took a deep breath, trying to calm herself, but the sobs wouldn't stop. The uncertainty, the fear of what lay ahead, was too much. She didn't know what her future held, and that thought terrified her more than anything. She had no choice but to keep moving forward, but where would she go? How would she find her way out of this tangled web of lies, betrayal, and pain? Chloe wiped her face, standing up slowly. Her mind was a storm of thoughts and emotions. Maybe I should leave, she thought, find somewhere far away and just disappear. But could I do that? Could I leave this life behind? She glanced at the test one last time before tossing it into the trash. It wasn't just a piece of plastic anymore, it was a symbol of everything she had lost, everything she couldn't take back. The reality of it was sinking in, and for the first time, Chloe wasn't sure she could face the future. Meanwhile, Michael's once caring and loving nature began to fade. He felt taken for granted, as if all the love and patience he had poured into their marriage meant nothing to Tessa. His heart ached with betrayal, and every day the distance between them grew wider. The warm husband he had once been was now replaced by a man filled with quiet anger and doubt. Unable to ignore his suspicions any longer, Michael quietly began investigating Tessa. He asked discreet questions among his circle and followed leads that led him closer to the truth. What he discovered shocked him. People spoke in hushed tones about Tessa's relationship with Tony, how they had been involved long before her marriage, and that the image of Tessa as a pure, innocent virgin was nothing but a carefully crafted lie. Yet, even with this knowledge, Michael found it hard to confront Mrs. Amanda directly. He knew the woman was ruthless and sharp, and he wasn't sure what secrets she held or how far she would go to protect her family's reputation. The thought of facing her, demanding answers, filled him with unease. Unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface, Mrs. Amanda continued her work with a cold efficiency. She ran the Brown family company with an iron will, focused solely on growing the empire her late husband had built. To the outside world, she was the strong matriarch, the devoted mother, and the loyal businesswoman. The secrets she guarded and the games she played were hidden beneath a polished surface no one dared to question. Mrs. Amanda's confidence was unshaken. She believed everything was going according to plan, that her daughters were perfectly positioned and the family legacy was secure. But beneath her calm exterior, the cracks were beginning to show, even if she didn't realize it yet. Michael's investigation was quietly gathering momentum, and with every step he took, the fragile web of lies Mrs. Amanda had spun grew more likely to unravel. Chloe sat alone in a small cafe, a sandwich and a cup of tea set before her. The simple meal did little to calm the strange mix of hunger and nausea twisting in her stomach, pregnancy cravings she couldn't ignore. Every bite she took was a reminder of the life growing inside her, a secret she was desperate to keep hidden. She knew it wouldn't be long before Mrs. Amanda noticed the changes in her, the growing belly she couldn't hide forever. Her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, turning over every possible plan and escape route. She had been thinking seriously about running away from home. The thought of staying, trapped under Mrs. Amanda's ruthless control, terrified her. She knew her stepmother would stop at nothing to protect her selfish plans, the twisted games that had forced Chloe into a life she never chose. As she stared out the cafe window, watching the busy street outside, her phone buzzed in her bag. Pulling it out, she saw a new message from a hidden number. "Call me if you need me," followed by a phone number. Chloe's heart skipped a beat. She looked around the cafe nervously, half expecting someone to be watching her. No one seemed to notice her, but the weight of the message pressed down on her like a secret too heavy to carry alone. She read the message again, the words offering a glimmer of hope in the darkness that surrounded her. Needing privacy, Chloe gathered her things and moved to the small garden behind the cafe. The fresh air was a relief from the crowded room inside, but her nerves were still raw. Taking a deep breath, she dialed the number. Her hands trembled as the phone rang, each beep sending a jolt of fear and hope through her. When a calm voice finally answered, Chloe felt a strange sense of relief. She needed an escape. She needed help. And now, she was ready to take a risk no matter the danger. I need help," she whispered, her voice barely steady. "I can't stay where I am. It's not safe. Please, help me." The voice on the other end was gentle but firm. "We'll find a way. You're not alone anymore." Chloe closed her eyes, clutching the phone tightly. For the first time in a long time, she felt the faintest spark of hope flicker inside her. The voice on the other end was calm and steady, a woman's voice, gentle but with a quiet strength beneath it. "Who are you?" Chloe asked, her voice trembling slightly. There was a brief pause before the woman replied, "Just someone who wants to help you. Someone who wants to teach Amanda that she can't always play everyone." Chloe's curiosity piqued, but caution held her back. "How do I know I can trust you?" The woman's voice softened. "You don't yet, but I'm willing to prove it. I'll let you get to know me better. Let's meet." There was a hint of resolve as she added, "Let's meet at the cafe you're in right now tomorrow, at 2 p.m. Chloe's eyes darted around nervously, scanning the cafe and its garden. She wanted to be sure no one was watching her. No one was following the call or listening in. The place was quiet, and she saw no one paying attention to her. Her heart beat faster with a mixture of hope and fear. Could this mysterious woman really be her chance to escape? Or was this another trap? She nodded quietly to herself, deciding she would come back tomorrow. For now, she tucked the phone away, trying to steady her shaking hands and her racing mind. Chloe sat quietly in her room, trying to keep as much distance as possible from Mrs. Amanda. The weight of her secret pregnancy pressed heavily on her mind, and she dreaded any unexpected encounters. Suddenly, there was a sharp knock on the door. Mrs. Amanda stepped inside, her sharp eyes immediately finding Chloe. "The file I gave you, why haven't you sent it back yet?" she asked, her tone clipped but controlled. Chloe forced a polite smile. "I'm still working on it, Mother," she replied gently, careful to keep her voice calm. Mrs. Amanda's gaze lingered on her for a moment longer. "I need it on my desk by tomorrow morning," she said firmly. Then, with a sudden shift, she added, "You've been gaining weight lately and seem tired more often. I'll have my doctor check you out." Chloe's heart skipped a beat. Mrs. Amanda was a nurse by training, a woman who knew the signs of pregnancy. It was a small miracle she hadn't already figured it out. But now, with that remark, it became clear. Mrs. Amanda suspected something. Chloe swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. She could feel the invisible noose tightening around her. Mrs. Amanda's eyes were sharp, filled with a calculating intensity that made Chloe's skin crawl. Was this an early warning? A threat disguised as concern? Or was Mrs. Amanda preparing to act before Chloe could take control of her own fate? Chloe nodded slightly, masking the storm of fear and uncertainty inside her. "Thank you, Mother. I'll finish the file tonight," she said, hoping her words sounded confident enough. Mrs. Amanda gave a curt nod before turning to leave. "See that you do?" As the door closed behind her stepmother, Chloe sank onto her bed, her mind racing. Time was running out, and she knew she needed to make a decision soon before Mrs. Amanda's suspicions turned into something far worse. The next day, Chloe arrived at the cafe 30 minutes early, her nerves a mix of hope and anxiety. She chose a quiet corner and sat down, fidgeting with the cup of tea she had ordered, her eyes constantly darting toward the entrance. At exactly 2 o'clock, the door opened, and a woman walked in. She wore a sleek black suit, her posture confident but her expression guarded, smart and secretive. She scanned the cafe briefly before spotting Chloe and making her way over. "Nancy," the woman introduced herself as she slid into the seat opposite Chloe. Her voice was calm, yet carried a quiet intensity. "I'm glad you showed up." Chloe nodded cautiously, waiting for her to continue. Nancy took a deep breath before beginning. "I've worked with Mrs. Amanda for a long time, years, actually. We built the company together, turning it into $1 million empire." Her eyes darkened with pain and anger. But when we reached that milestone, Amanda's selfishness came to the surface. She framed me, stole everything, and took it all for herself. Chloe listened intently, the pieces beginning to fall into place. "Do you have any proof?" she asked quietly. Nancy shook her head. "No. All I had was blind trust, and Amanda destroyed that. But I can't just stand by and watch her play her games with you and Orphan, her stepdaughter, caught in the middle of all this." Chloe felt a flicker of hope ignite in her chest. Here was someone who understood what she was up against and who was willing to help. Nancy leaned in, lowering her voice. "I'm here because I want to help you. We need to be smart and careful. Amanda's powerful, but she's not untouchable. Together, we can find a way to take back what's rightfully yours and stop her before she destroys you." Chloe nodded, determination slowly replacing her fear. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she wasn't alone. Welcome to Tales by NFC. If you are just joining us, don't forget to subscribe. We appreciate all our viewers from around the world. Part 3 coming soon. Stay tuned.